It's gonna be alright.
Yo, look at these photorealistic graphics. They're oh god, so safe. Block it. I can't let Dewey die. He's the best character. Oh shit. Oh no no no. Come on. Got it.
Not today.
Yeah, not today. Headbutt. Oh, I got the gun. Hell yeah. So The Quarry was one of my most anticipated games of this year, as I'm a huge fan of these interactive story-driven games where you make your own choices, which significantly impacts the story. I've really enjoyed every single one that I played, including the Telltale The Walking Dead, Until Dawn, the original Life is Strange, Detroit Become Human. So many winners that I thought to myself that these games just don't miss. Well, I thought too soon because Supermassive Games, the developer of Until Dawn, then made the Dark Pictures anthology, which is a series of interactive drama horror games, and none of them measure up to the games I just listed. But to be fair, they're lower budget, bite-sized games with not nearly as much time put into them, so I wasn't too worried yet. And that brings us to The Quarry. Also developed by Supermassive Games, this is their next AAA title with a full $70 price tag for current gen, the spiritual successor to Until Dawn. And playing this game has officially shown me that these games are prone to mediocrity. Yeah, I was kinda disappointed in this. Before we start talking about it, I just want to let y'all know that I just played through this game once and started making some bad decisions during the last third of the game, so I used chapter select to fix those mistakes, and after that I YouTubed a couple alternative outcomes that I was curious about. I haven't seen everything this game has to offer, not even close, so if there's anything I say that's actually not true, feel free to correct me. Also, there are spoilers here, so if you haven't played the game and are planning to, this is your spoiler warning, okay? Alright. So the premise of The Quarry is very simple. A group of 9 teenage camp counselors are enjoying one last night at camp after all the campers have gone home, but then they start being hunted by something sinister. Now the gameplay is everything you'd expect for a game like this. Throughout the story, you're going to be switching between the counselors, walking around finding collectibles, performing quick time events, making choices that will decide the character's fate, etc. Nothing revolutionary, but that's what I like about these type of games. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? However, for a game that's supposed to let players shape their unique story from a tangled web of possibilities, I was able to see the limits to those possibilities very early on. There are a few times in this game where events are bound to happen despite the decisions you make. For example, in the beginning of the game, the camp leader played by David Arquette, love him in Scream,
I'm like the chillest flippin' bro in the whole world, man.
is telling one of the counselors, Ryan, to make sure everyone stays in the cabin once the sun goes down. No one comes in, no one comes out. Once he left, all the counselors were like, hey, we should do a bonfire tonight, and playing as Ryan, I was like, no. I was told to make sure no one remains outside at night. But nobody cared. The bonfire happens regardless of whether you listen to Officer Dewey or not. And I know this is to keep the story going, it's how it's scripted, but it just kinda bothers me when a game like this is pulling me towards an outcome, so sometimes my choices don't matter. Also, the game indicated that everyone's getting bored of Ryan for being a teacher's pet. Well, that didn't matter either because players get to take control of every counselor throughout the game. And whenever I was playing as anyone else, I chose to be friendly to Ryan whenever I could. Having Ryan be the lame one in the group here never bit him in the back. So there's not really any consequences for mistreating other characters or saying the wrong things to them when you're pulling all the strings. Well, actually, not all the strings. There's a few more characters than just the 9 counselors. You only play as a 9, and during a particular part of the game, I shot a non-playable character and the game said that he will kill me for that. Which actually did get me worried because I'm never in control of him. And yeah, later he did kill me for shooting him prior. See, I think there should have been more of that, but it's limited due to the player controlling most of the characters. Now, the biggest problem I have with this game is the writing.
You can't hide from me in my own house, fucker! You're a fucker. Dad!
First of all, the characters couldn't be more generic. Aside from a few, they're the kind of characters you see in any teenage horror movie. Most of them pretty much mirror the characters from Until Dawn, but in that game, the characters were carried by great writing and genuinely surprising twists and reveals. In The Quarry, Not so much. It starts off quite slow in the first few chapters as it's just establishing the characters, which I was fine with. Gotta have that setup and development. Then things start happening and I'm like, alright, the game's picking up. But it caps there. It never really got to the point where I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. To me, the game just fluctuates from slow to mildly entertaining. Like even the ending or final showdown was anticlimactic. I was absolutely mind-boggled by how underwhelming the story is from start to finish. There's also an issue I had with other games like this, particularly Detroit Become Human that's here as well, which is once the conflict is resolved, the game's instantly like, see ya. The credits immediately roll. There's no resolution showing how the characters reflect on everything that's happened. I didn't mind this as much in Detroit because at least that game wrapped itself up with the bare minimum. Even though I wanted a scene showing Kara and Alice living happily ever after in Canada, I can assume that's what happens since the game ends with them successfully crossing the border, which was their goal the entire game. The Quarry, on the other hand, concludes with so many loose ends. It sets up all these relationships and doesn't provide closure to any of them. Hey, this dude turned to a werewolf and killed the girl he liked, are we gonna talk about that? Nope, the game's over. These two characters had a thing throughout the entire game, so do they end up together? Do they not? We don't know because they're nowhere near each other once the credits roll. The characters are all split up almost the entire time and they don't meet up at the end for an epilogue. The game ends with most of them having no idea if their friends are alive, and a couple of them didn't even do jack. If certain characters are kept alive, the game would have no idea what to do with them. Like this one character, Jacob, survived my playthrough and he was just chilling in the woods for the last third of the game.
I don't know what to do.
I don't think he was even aware the threat was gone. A lot of these characters are severely underutilized. Some just don't contribute all that much to the story and others didn't have enough screen time. And on top of all that, there's just some really dumb shit here. Sometimes I ask, why are the characters doing this? Or why aren't they doing this? You see some creature outside, notify your friend or at least don't let him open the door.
Duh, are you dumb?
I wouldn't have a problem if these were outcomes of players' decisions, but they're not. The characters are just dumb on their own sometimes.
Disqualified for being a dumbass.
Now, despite everything I said, I gotta say I had a pretty decent time with the game overall. I went into this game expecting an interactive experience full of branching paths and grueling decisions that could mean life or death, and that's what it delivers. There were certainly tense moments where I wasn't sure what choice to select. And at times, I was gratified knowing that characters were still alive because of my sharp judgment, and then there were times where I was like, god damn it, I messed up.
Come on, hurry up. The head.
What?
You have to shoot him in the head, or they always come back.
Dewey, who gives a fuck?
We're killing Ghostface right now.
I do.
No, Dewey!
This game's too easy. Yeah, reload that, Dewey. I'm about to end this game way sooner than it should. I made good in-game decisions. No, Dewey! Wait, what? What was that? Oh, you know what? I know what happened. So even though I chose the riskier option, I think if I told Gail what I was doing earlier, she wouldn't have called and Dewey would have been fine. But look, I'll show you where I messed up.
Where are you going?
My sister's in trouble!
Live in Pittsburgh, California, where Judy Hicks has just been brutally murdered.
You see, I thought it'd be a better idea to just go with Samantha because it seemed urgent. But in the end, it really screwed me over. So you know, that's all there. It took me about 3 sittings over the span of 2 days to finish my initial playthrough, and the game was enjoyable enough for me to have the urge to turn it back on each time. I just wish the story was more airtight and packed a bigger punch than it did. Though, if you have like 8 other friends to come over for couch co-op, each controlling a counselor, I'd imagine it'd be a blast. It's certainly worth playing for anyone that's a fan of this type of game. To me, it's better than any of the games in the Dark Pictures anthology so far, but it's definitely the weakest AAA game of this genre that I played. So yeah, I think that's about everything I have to say about this game. Before you guys leave,
Sub, share, smash that like button.
let me know which counselors died in your first playthrough. I got Abigail killed, Nick, and Landon Tipton. Jamie! Alright, bye.
They took it!
You fucking idiot!
Do you want a picture of that?
Keep playing, I'll clip it once it's out.
Oh, okay.
Damn it! You fucking piece of shit! Get away! Get away from me! So you had what I did.
I'm a police officer!
Now I'm blind, you motherfucker!
Yeah, you have eyes.
Oh, you